Welcome in, college football fans. It's another episode of the Fanatic on the Fanatic Sports Network, man. As y'all can see, it is that week. It is Red River Rivalry week. That's right. Let me get that out. 3 R's. You see my guy. Listen, man, this is my YouTube hall mate, Jason from Hall of Fame College Football, man, in here to give his point of view from the Oklahoma side, as you can see. And I know I am not a Texas fan, but I am here to talk Texas, Oklahoma. Let's get into it.
The Fanatic, where we keep it 100, keep it real. That's the only way we know how to be. Talking that sports talk, you know what I'm saying? Straight out of South Carolina, upstate, A64. Yeah, the FANATTIC, the Fanatic, where we keep it OG. We talking sports, so I call what.
All right, man, we are back in here. Jason, what's going on, my guy?
What's up, Coach R? Thanks for having me on the show, man. We appreciate it.
I know, man, it's a little different than what we do. You know, normally I'm on your live, you on my lives. We're doing this, recording this on Sunday, October the 1st, man. Texas OU preview. We like these sometimes so people can get in the comments and go at it.
Yeah. Hey, it's already been popping all day today. The games ain't even been over 24 hours and it's been popping already. So here we are.
Big facts. Before we get into it, man, do you know why this game is so early every year?
It's always been a tradition to play it at the state fair,
Okay.
and then of course with Texas, before A&M went to the SEC, that was their last game. That October or that November game that week of the second week in November that the big.
Yeah.
So Texas is playing Texas A&M that week, and then you always had Oklahoma playing Oklahoma State that week. So that was always the way that other rivalry week, you've had to fit them both in. Then also, I think Texas and Arkansas, they always had a big they had a big rivalry as well when they were both in the Southwest Conference. So the Red River game, it's just always been at this time of year. The state fair has a lot to do with it as well. That's what it's tied to these days, is the state fair, is that they've already renewed that contract as well. They're going to always do it there. So
okay, just want to know, because it's one of the better rivalries in college football, man. And
great rivalry.
It'd be crazy if it was with the rest of the Ohio State, Michigan, those the Alabama, Auburn type deal. But I'm glad it's this week. Hey, we'll get us some good college football this Saturday, because this coming weekend, it's not too hype on the games, but at least we got the Red River shootout. So hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do so, man. Share it with your people so we can get more eyes on some college football content. Hit that like button as well, man. We're about to get into it. We'll give a recap of last week. Then we'll talk about each team's offense versus the other team's defense. And then me and Jason will give our keys to the game and hopefully have some predictions for you guys, man. So just to recap, last week, listen, man, both teams started out kind of the same way. We kind of talked about this on the live stream, man. I felt like OU and Texas came out in each of their games. Texas versus Kansas and OU versus Iowa State. Kind of slow, maybe looking ahead the next week, but then they both got it together and put the game away with no question. You know what I'm saying? So how'd you feel coming off of that week 5 win against Iowa State?
Early on in the game, you got a little worried. It's a little something that you don't want to see them making those kind of mistakes. And we talk about this. Oklahoma fans got PTSD like a mug after the way that the defense has been playing for the last 10, 12 years. So
yeah,
when you see them make mistakes like that, give up big gash runs, big gaping touchdown plays, it's a little worrisome. What I was saying, we were talking about this a little bit off air, but that first 21 minutes of the game, Iowa State had 260 something yards, I believe it was. The next 39 minutes, they didn't even break 100 and didn't score anything else. So, to me, that's when you kind of look back at it. And I mean, is Iowa State great? No, they're definitely a depleted program. Defensively, they've been one of the best. Teams in the Big 12. Basically, they've been the standard bearer for the Big 12 in defense for the last 7-8 years since Matt Campbell got there.
Yeah.
So you have to you got to take it with what it is, and you can only play the teams in front of you. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And I think had Oklahoma and Georgia played earlier this year, you'd probably know a little bit more about both those teams. I think coming into this game. But that being said, as much as it worries you a little bit, those early part of the game, and you don't want to really do that against a team like Texas. Uh, it does help a lot whenever you come back in there and you realize that okay, they did force some turnovers. They continue to be the top 2 scoring defense in the country.
Yep.
They're continuing to do really well defensively. They have more tackles for loss than almost anybody in the country as well. They're
Mhm.
number 1 in that stop rate that they have on the athletic. So again, you can say what you want about their opponents or whatever, but you do what you do. You're supposed to beat those teams the way you beat them. That's one thing I've liked about Oklahoma coming into the for these first 5 games of the season is that they've gone in and they've taken care of business where they're supposed to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They've covered the spread every time. They didn't always look perfect, but they've looked really good. And so, as far as that defense is concerned, Coach Venables was talking about that he uses a rotation of 30 players on defense.
Yeah. So that's
That's
good.
the depth is what you need, right? Of all people, you Georgia fans know defense is that important, especially in the trenches, right?
Big facts, man. On the other side, man, Texas took on a Kansas team that didn't have Jalen Daniels, and without Jalen Daniels, man, I mean, they're kind of, I'm gonna say they're as bad as Iowa State, but maybe, I mean, without him, and they started
Yeah,
out playing like they had him initially, and they were scoring on and moving the ball on Texas, and then Texas again, both teams woke up and
yeah.
kind of put the other team to sleep. So now we're
Yeah, I
on
think
to
that the
this week,
depth
man.
kinda came into play for both teams. Once it got to a certain
Yep.
level, the depth came into play. I think that Jason Bean's a pretty good quarterback. Not
Yeah.
to diss Texas on that. I mean, I think that they definitely play down to their opponents a lot of times.
Yeah.
We've seen that even throughout the year, and they've played a lot of backup quarterbacks too.
They have.
They've played pretty much everybody was a backup other than Jalen Milroe, in the Alabama game, which again, you can't take anything away from Texas and what they did there to go into Tuscaloosa, get a win.
Yeah.
I think they caught them at a good time.
As
I
we
don't know
can
if
see,
it
Ole Miss tried to, but they couldn't do it. So,
sure.
hey,
Yeah,
kudos to, like you say, both teams handling business. Again, you guys, regardless of who they are on the schedule, you can only play the people on your schedule, and you're beating them like the people that they are. That's what's the key. Whether they're bad conference foe and you beat them by 20 or 30, or they're a bad out of conference foe and you beat them by 40 or 50. Whatever it is, you're
right.
handling business. So now on to talking about that specifically about the Texas offense versus this new look OU defense. Definitely looks better than the defense last year. I think they're getting into learning and feeling comfortable in this Brent Venables style defense, man. And then UT's offense has looked good, but I would say for the talent that they have, I was kind of shocked when I looked up a couple of the hardcore stats. They're scoring 36 points per game. I
Right.
mean, with the talent they have, I would, I told we talked about this preseason. I think they got one of the better, wide receiver rooms in the nation. Their running
Absolutely.
backs aren't bad, and then they got a really good tight end. Quinn Ewers is playing a little bit better than he did last year. They are rushing for 191 a game, passing for 286 for a total of 478 a game. You would think they would be putting a little bit more points up on the board. They're nearly 500 yards a game. So,
Right.
um, hey, third down percentage, they're 26. I want to say they're 42%. So that's not bad either. That's got to be like
Oh,
top
it's real
30 or
good.
40, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, in the nation. So I don't know. Maybe it's because they hadn't had to. I just looked at some of the scores and they actually are. It's not like they scored 51 game and then 20 another game. Like, they beat Rice
Right.
37-10, Alabama 34-24. 31-10 for Wyoming and 38-6 Baylor. They did score 40 on the Jayhawks. So seems like if you guys can get up in the 40s, then that might be a problem for this UT offense.
I think so. If you look at their scoring offense, they're ranked around, let's see, they're right at number 30, averaging
Yeah,
what
36. Yeah,
36 a game. Yeah. So they're number 30. Oklahoma coming in obviously at number 3 in the country there. On the scoring defensive side of it, when you look at Oklahoma,
Yep. OU's
um,
only giving up 10.
yeah, listen, so it's and again, obviously, that's not an exact science when you look at
Big
the fact
facts.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that they haven't played the exact same type of plea. But aside from Alabama, they haven't played the biggest, the most strong schedule either. I mean, Rice starting off, they struggled with Rice for a while. Wyoming, I know that they beat Texas Tech. That was a home game. They came back from 17 down to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you can say what you want, but I mean, they went into that fourth quarter of that game at home against Wyoming, tied at 17.
Yeah.
You know, and so, or tied at 10, I think it was, whatever it is. But then they ended up going ahead and you know, pulling ahead in that quarter. It's great that they're finally able to kind of adjust, make an adjustment, be a fourth quarter team. I think that that's probably one of the biggest questions that you had to have about Texas under Steve Sarkisian is that second half they've never really looked that good. They've lost big leads multiple times. I think a total of 8-9 times in
Yeah.
his first 2 seasons. So that's definitely a plus for them.
From OU defensive side standpoint, what do you want to see them do this Saturday? What do you want them to take away that Texas does well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you need to get Quinn Ewers off of his platform. You got to rush and get, which is something that you really like if you're an Oklahoma fan. They're way ahead in tackles for loss. You know, they're one of the top teams in the country for tackles for loss. They haven't had as many sacks. I think a lot of times you've seen max protection, things like that, and getting the ball off fast. I would expect that you're probably going to see some of that with Sark as well. Although, you know, one thing you got to say about Steve Sarkisian is that he comes in and he's got a way of using his running backs out of the backfield. Kind of some of the stuff I've been talking about that I want to see more of OU on offense with their running backs and getting their running game going is to use them out of the backfield, quick bubble screens, you know, orbit screens. That little orbit screen is kind of his thing. But I think that that's the main thing is that you really have to get in Quinn Ewers' grill. You know, if you can do that and, you know, and make him, you know, get off platform, get off timing, which is, you know, I think that you're going to have a good opportunity there. Running back wise, look, they have a good stable of running backs there. That's the one thing you can say about that. If you can, and they haven't been great rushing the football, but they're not bad either. You know, I think that, you know, it's a little bit of both, but I think the main thing is that you want to make them beat you running the football because Quinn, we saw him be able to go out there and pass to wins and stuff like that. You want to keep your secondary at home. Don't be giving up deep balls to him because he can throw a deep ball as good as anybody in the country, period. You know?
Yeah. And I think we saw that on national TV versus Alabama and those defensive backs with Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, Adonai, I guess he's going by, you know, his full name, but and they're making a conservative effort to try to get him the ball more, I guess, to take some of that pressure off of Xavier Worthy. I think, you know, like you said, don't let anybody get behind you, definitely, because these guys can definitely stretch the field.
Well, and if you've seen any issues, I think depth wise, you look great on defense for Oklahoma. You know, Coach Venables talked about that they use about 30 guys in their rotation and don't have a problem using them all. You know, there's been a couple of injuries here and there and stuff, but you really haven't seen any differences from one guy to the next a lot, you know. And then on top of that, you've got some freshmen that are starting to step up and look really good in the secondary. Now, that's where you would probably worry is in that defensive backfield, it going up against, you know, seasoned guys or whatever. But one thing is that we've seen a lot of, if as long as they stay disciplined with their eyes and don't, you know, one of the things you saw in the Iowa State game right after they had that pick six, you know, Key Lawrence had a chance to either light the guy up or maybe get another pick six, but he tried to jump the route in the middle of the field, which is always a little riskier business than trying to jump one on the sideline.
Yep, no defenders behind you.
Right. Yeah, and so that was the thing is that had he had just waited, lowered the boom on the guy, maybe made him think about coming back across the middle like that, it probably changes the you know, the way that things are going right then and there. Instead, it turns into a long touchdown. And you know, again, but there was two guys there. It's just the fact of that he gave up the, you know, the backside of it by trying to jump that route instead of trying to light the dude up. Had Reggie Pearson been in on that play, he'd have laid him up. That's just what Reggie Pearson likes to do. But I mean, you know, that's what Jay on Unfair Sports earlier today was talking about. You needed to make him make a business decision right there. You
Big
know what I
facts,
mean?
man.
I agree.
Receivers always thinking about that tough hit. even if they complete the catch, they think about it,
Oh
coming
man.
back off. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see, like you say, because they got some pass catches in Austin. So we're gonna see how
But I
this
also
Red
don't feel
Venables
like
defense
they've had
goes.
any pressure like that on Quinn either.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
they
that's like you say, the
laid it up.
key is to get to Quinn so that he doesn't have the timing down because they do have the guys, to kind of go. He's completing 66% of his passes, which is
He
pretty
is.
good. 10 TDs, one touchdown. I mean, one interception. So he's looking, like I say, he's looking better. He's still, to me, not playing at that 5-star level like we, thought he was coming out of school, but
Well,
he's
yeah, he was
definitely
the number 1 recruit ever, right? As far as
coming out. But hey, he like I say, they definitely got the weapons, and I think
yeah.
Brent Venables should come in he'll have a good game plan for him. Now on the other side, talking about that UT defense versus the OU offense. Actually, Dylan Gabriel's percentage, 75% of his passes,
That's right.
almost 1,600, passing yards, 15 TDs, 2 INTs, man. Technically, statistically, he's outplaying to this point, Quinn Ewers, and he's actually looked a lot better than his previous years too, because
Yeah,
Dylan he had a propensity to go for the all or nothing type deal, but now he's actually just, I feel like he's making better choices this year than he has in the past. So
he's been
just
great.
yeah. So I mean, again, handling business against the teams that you're supposed to. Texas defensively only giving up 12 a game, about 94 rush yards, 196 in the air,
Yeah.
and holding opponents to 26% on third down. So I think third down is something that you guys are 54%, which is that's got to be like top 10, top 15 or something in the nation, completing third down percentage. So that's
Yes.
going to be an interesting matchup. Their third down defense versus your third down offense.
Yeah, definitely. That's one that's in when they get into that situation. They were great on fourth down last week too, so something
Mm.
that you've seen, and this is probably by a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's by necessity. The punting team hasn't looked great, so they try not to. I don't even think they punted but once last week, if they did. So, but they
Special
had
teams, boy.
right, 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 and it's just I think that everywhere else they've been good on special teams. It's just that particular one, on punt itself.
Yeah.
But you know, punt return, punt block. They've been doing that. Peyton Bowen got his second block of a punt last week as well. So, that's a good thing. But yeah, I think that they went what 4 or 5 on fourth down last week, something like that. It was something in that neighborhood. They about 50% of their third downs they were finishing off those as well. Look, they looked great, and I think the main thing with Dylan Gabriel is for him to get the ball out on time. It's always timing with him. When he steps into it and makes sure he gets it off on time, he's much better. And a lot of that you saw a lot of that this week. One thing that people don't really talk a lot about, that you talk about that Texas wide receiver room. You talk about obviously Ohio State's wide receiver room. We've talked about Washington's wide receiver room a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma came into the season. We didn't know a whole lot about the wide receiver room. We knew there was talent there. We didn't know how it was going to be. Every week, it seems to be a different guy that steps up.
Which is good.
Yeah,
Which is good.
absolutely. And you've got Nick Anderson that looks like he might be the best athlete on the field every time he steps on it, right? This guy is a touchdown waiting to happen. There's other guys along the, Jaden Gibson is a 6'5", 6'6" receiver that now he's got some, he had a case of the drops last year. And so now it's been really good for him because he's been able to go out there, get some catches. He got a big touchdown this past week. It was a long pass. Dylan hit him on the money, and he bowled through 3 guys on his way into the end zone. So that's the thing is there's a lot of talent there. There's guys that some weeks you don't see much out of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's because maybe they're keying in on him a little bit. Jalil Farouk being one of those guys. Jalil Farouk has the propensity that he gets his hands on the ball. He may not be as fast as like Andrew Anthony, who I know something about him from Michigan, another speed guy. And then this past weekend, you even got, oh man, I'm trying to remember that kid's name. One second. But anyway, it's one guy. It seems to be more guys every week. So you've got different guys that are stepping up, really providing it. I think Drake Stoops out of the slot has proven to be a
It's
real
actually looked pretty good. Yeah, it looked
right.
pretty good.
Yeah, he's been a good security blanket for Dylan. They have a good connection there as well. But it
Yeah.
just seems like Dylan looks a lot different. I think you were talking a little bit about that. He just looks like he's more confident in what he's doing. Second year, knowing kind of how it is in Oklahoma. He still takes a lot of heat, man. He still
Yeah.
takes a lot of heat, and it's you know how it is, man. It's always when
Hey,
you have a
quarterback gets it
five-star
all, dog.
when you have a five-star behind you that was, either the top quarterback in the country or the second quarterback in the country, you could, either you're going with Dante Moore or
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold. Everybody, there's a lot of people, and myself included, you're kind of anxious to see what are you going to get from this guy because he's got a big arm.
Hey, man,
Right?
backup quarterback's always the favorite player on the whole
Aren't
team,
they?
dog. Come on now.
Aren't
Come
they?
on, dog. Come on. It's just like that, man. But I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think this game is we talk
Always
about
is.
these games of the year. This could lead up to being one of the candidates for game of the year, man. But we're gonna talk about these keys to the game, man, and then we'll get some predictions. I think just from OU side, I think it's like you say, Dylan Gabriel starting fast, really. Not like, not that it's his fault that you guys started slow or anything, but I think he's the key. He is the key to OU's success. I get that the defense needs to do what they need to do, but I think Dylan Gabriel starts hot. That bodes well for Oklahoma. And on Texas' side, I think they need Jonathan Brooks to start hot. He had over 200 yards rushing Saturday, and if he starts hot, that kind of like make you guys like put more in the box. And if you can get some one-on-one opportunities from the Texas side with those DBs, I know they like their chances with the guys that they have and all the pass catches that they have. So, just a couple of keys to the game for you, man, for both sides.
Yeah, I would agree with you to some extent. I still feel like a lot of it. I think this has been the key for Oklahoma for a long time is to make sure that you're better in the trenches, especially on the defensive line. Defensively, for that matter, I want to see them get in there, not just stop the run. I think you do definitely have to. I think that Jonathan Brooks is not the guy that you have to make beat you. It cannot be Quinn Ewers through the air. So I think so. In order to do that, as we talked about, I think that you have to provide pressure on Quinn Ewers and have to make sure that he gets off of timing, he gets off of his platforms and isn't able to have the time that he wants or have the open looks that he's looking for, as far as a clean pocket and stuff. I think you got to get him moving around.
Yeah.
On the other side of it, I would say that probably right now, I think that you want to see, Dylan Gabriel has to do his thing. I want him to go out and be a leader and what we have seen from him. But you'd almost like to see this running game get going. Something that hasn't
that could take pressure. That could take the pressure off of Dylan. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like, they've run this almost 4 and even 5 guys that have come in and out of this. And some weeks it's, Tawi Walker. Some weeks it's, Marcus Majors. And then you've got, Gavin Sawchuk got a little bit of time this past week. Marcus was kind of the main guy. But, you haven't seen anybody really step forward. And it seems like with Marcus Majors, as good as he's looked at times, he seems to fall easily or something, or something slip or something. But you need to see them I'd love to see if you could I feel like if you get 200 yards or pretty close to 200 yards on offense with the running game, and I don't care how you get it, even if you use Dylan in some of that as well, because he had some good runs last week as well. If you can get closer to 200 yards rushing, I think Oklahoma has a really good chance to win. Because then they're gonna have to put more guys in the box, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Which is gonna open up that wide receiving core, which I believe is the strongest group on the team at this point, aside from maybe. Yeah, I think it is the strongest group. It really is. I think it's kind of been a back and forth between that, possibly the secondary, and maybe a little bit even of the D line. But to me, it's that it's important that if you want to get Dylan a clean pocket, which you kind of need, he's a smaller guy, then you're going to need to run the ball well.
Okay, so you guys go in as 4.5-point underdogs according to FanDuel currently on Sunday, October the 1st.
Yeah.
With the spread, Give me I know, let's this early, man. Early in the week, things could change. Everything being the same, nobody getting hurt in practice or none of that stuff. Give me your prediction for the game Saturday.
I said something earlier. I think OU wins going away. I really do. I don't think that Texas
Mm.
has really faced anybody. I think that when they faced Alabama, I'm not saying they haven't faced anybody, but when they faced Alabama, Alabama wasn't even what they are right now.
Yeah.
And they struggled with them a bit. I mean, they didn't put them away until the end. I think that Oklahoma, if they can come out and establish what they're trying to do and be able to do defensively things that Texas hasn't seen OU's defense do the things that they're capable of at this point. I've got this game at 35-17. I think that they go away from them in the second half.
Okay. Well, we talked, like you said, a little bit about off air, man. And as an outsider, man, this is a hard game. I'm gonna be honest,
Sure.
this is always a hard game for me to pick, regardless of who's the better team, because of Sarkeesian's past, and
7 wins, Sark. Yeah.
being Brent Venables' second year, as a head coach, if I had to say top to bottom, if we just looking at the players, I give the edge to Texas. But I don't know, man. It's like Sark scares me, bro. Because I'm be honest, like if it was a different coach, I might be picking Texas to go away, but I just don't see that happening. I think this 4.5-point spread is kind of. I think Vegas is kind of on to something.
Mm.
I don't know, bro.
It's been moving down. It's been moving down all week too. That's the thing.
Yeah. I think it's going to end up around about 3.5. To be honest with you, I think it's pretty much like a pick'em game.
I think it is.
So,
And it's a rivalry game, man. That's what you kind of have
yeah.
to expect, right?
Yeah, and then when I have games like this, I like to go with whoever has a better quarterback. In this situation, I think the quarterbacks are equal. Like I think Dylan Gabriel's playing, statistically playing better.
Sure.
I think Ewers might have better physical talent, so that's a wash for me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro! Like I got nothing to look at and be like, oh yeah, that's what it's gonna be. That's right there is what it's gonna be. So
go with the good guys, then, Coach. That's all you got to do. Just go with the good guys.
I'm gonna do this. I know Chicken and all the people gonna get on me, man. I'm gonna pick Texas to win, but I'm gonna pick OU to cover. I'm saying this is gonna be a 31-30 game. I don't think either team is that much better than the other team, but this is a rivalry game. You guys kind of own them. Texas hasn't won back-to-back. That's another thing. Like, can Texas handle the pressure of trying to beat OU 2 years in a row? Like they haven't beat y'all 2 years in a row since 08-09. Like
I haven't won anything of significance since like 09.
So that's what I'm saying is like, but listen, I tell you what, Texas, if y'all don't win this game, I don't care if it's a last second field goal. I'm never picking Texas to win another game ever. I don't care if they play the Sisters of the Poor. I'm taking the spread.
I could be wrong on the final score. I would not surprise me whatsoever if it was very close. But I've also seen it turn into that kind of game where the one thing is that Texas hasn't had to deal with a defense that flies around the ball the way that this one does, the one that puts pressure on.
And I think you got a little bit more motivation coming off of that loss last year.
You lose like 49-0. You don't have a quarterback there. It's got a bad taste in your mouth for 364 days. Man, nobody happy in Norman. Nobody.
But I say this, you and I talked about this as well. I think more pressure is on Texas to win this game because, again, this is my feelings. My feelings is Brent Venables is in his second year. If he loses, then it's just they're still coming of age. They're getting to it. They're, that kind of thing. I know rivalry-wise, both teams want to win it, but national perception-wise, if Steve Sarkisian doesn't win it, he dropped another big game. He can't beat OU. He can't, expectations are there and he can't handle it. That kind of thing.
Top 3 and everything else. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of pressure on Texas. So, hey, if they win this game, then I think you guys ultimately get another shot at them in the Big 12 championship. And I told you it kind of bodes well for you because it's hard to beat a team twice. So
it is.
Yeah. So maybe my prediction comes. If my prediction comes true, then OU may be my favorite to win the Big 12 after that.
That's true too, and I would tend to agree with you on that. You never know what's going to happen in a 2-game set if they end up playing each other again. I think that if Oklahoma was to win, like you said, it's so much pressure and it's such a letdown for Texas to lose that game because of where they are. They're in a position right now to be in the playoff. If everything continues the way it is, they're in the playoff, right?
Yeah.
If they were to lose this game, you could also see them spiraling. Again, Starks
True.
never won 10 games.
True.
They still have to play Kansas State. They still have to play Texas Tech, although, I know Texas Tech has kind of fallen on their face, but
Hey,
they weren't that
leave
great
it to the
last year.
commission. Leave it to the commissioner. Texas Tech better beat Texas. So, hey, but we know that's for another show, man. Hey, Jason, tell the people where they can find you before we get up out of here, man.
Hall of Fame College Football on YouTube. It's at CFB-pod. You can find us on our website, hofmedia.us, and on Twitter, it's JW_HOF. Hey, man. You can always find me here on the Fan Addict Sports Network as well. I think I got a toothbrush here, hanging out here just in case for the the snap count on Saturday nights. And hey, man, Boomer Sooner, horns down. It's Texas Hate Week, man. I'm excited about this.
That's right, man. Hey, man, appreciate you coming on, man, chopping it up for us. I actually hope I am wrong about my prediction because I do kind of like the OU fans better than I like the Texas fans. So there it is, man. Texas OU preview 2023. I'm Coach I. He's Jason, Hall of Fame College Football. We out of here.
I call my dogs out the pound. Let's go eat. Turn on the Fan Addict. Let's have a debate. Who really hold down the Southeast from state to state? What team hungry gonna eat everything up off their plate?